Alright, folks, imagine this. You're cruising at 30,000 feet aboard a luxury airliner. The hum of the engines is like a lullaby, and everything's smooth. But something feels a little off. It's that subtle tension in the air, like when you're at a party, and you just know something's about to pop off. People are settled in their seats, drinks in hand, but then there's her. Meet Strict Sally, our flight attendant, the kind of person who'd make sure every seat is upright, every tray is locked, and no one's sneaking snacks into the cabin. She's the queen of rules, and right now, she's keeping everything in check, trying to maintain order in what seems like an otherwise ordinary flight. But wait, here's where things get interesting. Enter Michael Jackson. Well, someone who looks very much like him. Picture this. A guy with the whole iconic look. Shiny leather jacket, black fedora tilted just right, and the swagger to match. He's strolling down the aisle like it's his personal concert stage, grooving to music in his headphones. He's got this quirky energy, and honestly, he's causing a bit of a stir. Not in a cool way, though. He's loud, a bit dramatic, and completely oblivious to the chaos he's creating. He's acting like he's the star of the show, but not everyone's buying it. Passengers are side-eyeing him, trying to figure out what's going on. And Sally? Well, she's getting a little frazzled. She's used to managing chaos, sure, but not from a guy who looks like he just stepped out of a 1980s music video. Sally's trying to keep her cool, trying to get the flight back on track. But this Michael character? He's not making it easy. It's only a matter of time before their paths collide. And trust me, when they do, things are about to get real interesting. Alright, folks, now let's crank it up a notch. Imagine the scene. Sally's doing her best to keep things running smoothly, right? But Michael Jackson, let's just call him that for now, isn't helping. He's been acting out for a while now, talking loudly on his phone, ignoring the seatbelt signs, even making a spectacle of himself by mimicking the flight crew's announcements in a goofy voice. It's one thing to be a little eccentric. It's another to disrupt the whole cabin. But that's exactly what he's doing. And then it happens. The final straw. Michael starts poking fun at the flight crew, mocking their safety demo in a loud, exaggerated tone. People are giggling awkwardly, some are rolling their eyes. And Sally? Well, she's had enough. She's been trying to hold it together, but the last bit of patience she had just snaps. She walks straight up to him, her face flushed with frustration, ready to put an end to this nonsense once and for all. "Excuse me, sir," she says, her voice steady but sharp. This behavior is completely unacceptable. But Michael, still oblivious, looks up at her with this smug grin, like he's the life of the party. That's when she reaches the boiling point. In a burst of frustration, she slaps him. And, let me tell you, the entire cabin goes dead silent for a split second. The sound of that slap echoes, like it could have come from a movie scene. Passengers freeze. Some are gasping. Others are in shock. A few are nervously glancing at each other, unsure of what just happened. You could practically hear the tension in the air, like everyone's holding their breath, waiting for the fallout. But what happens next? Unexpected. Instead of losing it, instead of blowing up in anger like most people would, Michael Jackson just laughs. That's right, he laughs, as if he thinks this is the funniest thing he's ever seen. And Sally? Well, she's standing there, hands still in midair, completely stunned. Her mind's racing. Did he just laugh? She's expecting an apology, or maybe a confrontation, but instead, he just grins at her, unbothered. The whole cabin's watching now, and Sally's left trying to figure out what just happened. Confused and a little embarrassed, Sally's not sure if she's in a dream or a nightmare. She thought she was in control, but now she's the one left trying to piece it all together. The passengers are all whispering, trying to figure out who this guy really is, and Sally's standing there, wondering if she's made the biggest mistake of her life. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats, because the roller coaster ride is about to get a whole lot bumpier. We pick up right after the slap, the moment when everything goes from awkward to next level insane. Sally, our strict flight attendant, is standing there, frozen with her hand still hovering midair, as the silence in the cabin feels like it could swallow her whole. Passengers are staring at her in shock, some gasping, others shifting uncomfortably in their seats. A few are nervously snickering, unsure whether they should be laughing or concerned. Sally's chest is pounding, her mind racing. Did she really just slap that guy? But the chaos doesn't end there. Oh no, just when she thinks it's over, just when she's mentally preparing for the fallout, the radio crackles to life. Sally, we need you in the cockpit. Now. Her stomach drops. Her first thought is, this is it. I'm done. They're going to fire me on the spot. She's already picturing herself back on the ground, looking for a new job in the classifieds. As she makes her way down the narrow aisle, the whispers grow louder. What's happening? She wonders. She sees passengers looking at her with mixed expressions. Some of confusion, others with that, oh, this is gonna be good kind of smile. And then, just as she's about to reach the cockpit, a voice calls out from behind her. Sally, hold up, says one of the senior attendants, her face pale and serious. You need to know something about the guy you slapped. Sally turns around, eyebrows furrowed. What about him? She asks, thinking maybe there's something she missed. Maybe there's a reason he's been acting so strange. But the words that come out of the senior attendant's mouth freeze her blood. That guy you slapped? He owns the plane. Wait. What? For a moment, Sally's world goes silent. It's like the whole airplane is suddenly standing still, as the reality of what she's just done hits her like a ton of bricks. Michael Jackson owns the plane. She can't even process it at first. This can't be true. She's just slapped the owner of the entire damn plane, the person who could make her life a living nightmare with a single phone call. Her hands start to tremble, her face flushes with heat, and her stomach feels like it's doing flips. What have I done? She stands there, trying to keep her cool, but inside, her heart is pounding like a drum. This is not how she pictured her day going, not by a long shot. As her mind scrambles to catch up with what she just heard, she nervously walks toward the cockpit, every step feeling heavier than the last. She can't stop replaying that slap in her head, over and over. Her mind flashes to the passengers' faces, their wide eyes, their shocked expressions. Some are whispering behind her back, trying to figure out what just happened, but it's all a blur to her. She opens the cockpit door, expecting to be met with stern looks, or worse, a lecture. But instead, the captain gives her a raised eyebrow. Sally, there's something we need to talk about, he says, but it's not the tone of someone ready to reprimand. It's more like someone who's just heard the wildest thing, and is now trying to figure out how to break the news. Her heart sinks even further. The door closes behind her, and the captain leans in, his voice dropping to a more serious tone. We've just been informed. Michael Jackson owns the entire plane, the whole fleet, and he's also the owner of the airline. Sally can't believe her ears. She's trying to comprehend what's happening, but it's as if someone's just told her she's in a completely different universe. Michael Jackson, the guy she slapped, he owns the plane. And not just the plane, but the whole damn airline. She feels the sweat bead on her forehead, the panic rising in her chest. Her breathing starts to quicken. She's never been more aware of how badly she's messed up. She stands frozen, trying to digest the gravity of her mistake. She's been trained for emergencies, for difficult passengers, for chaotic situations. But this is beyond anything she's ever prepared for. She didn't just slap any ordinary passenger. She slapped the owner of the plane, the person who holds all the power here, and she just crossed him in front of everyone. But then, just as she's spiraling into panic mode, she suddenly feels a tap on her shoulder. She turns around, expecting to see the flight crew, but instead there he is, Michael Jackson, sitting coolly in the back of the plane, looking completely unfazed by the entire ordeal. Sally freezes. Her heart skips a beat. She's about to apologize, to beg for forgiveness, but then Michael just laughs. It's the kind of laugh that makes you question everything. He laughs, not with anger, not with irritation, but with amusement. as if he's watching a sitcom unfold, with Sally as the star. He flashes her a grin, and it's the most mellow reaction she could have imagined. He's so calm, so playful, like he's delighted by the whole situation. He isn't angry. He isn't upset. He's laughing it off. And Sally? She's left standing there, completely flabbergasted. The panic begins to fade, but only because of the absurdity of it all. She was expecting him to blow up, to demand her removal from the flight, but instead, he just shrugs it off. Is he playing with her? Is he trying to teach her a lesson? One thing's for sure, Michael Jackson, in his cool, mysterious way, has completely turned the tables. Sally, once the one in control, now finds herself wondering if she's the punchline of a joke she's only just starting to understand. What happens next? Well, that is the part Sally's about to find out. Okay, hold on to your hats, because now comes the part where everything gets awkwardly hilarious. Sally, bless her heart, is standing there, palms sweating, her face a mix of embarrassment and desperation. The weight of what she's just done is crushing her, and all she wants now is to smooth things over. So, she decides to make one last-ditch attempt to redeem herself. But here's the thing. Sally, being Sally, goes way overboard. She rushes to Michael's seat, stammering out apologies like a broken record, practically begging for his forgiveness. Mr. Jackson, she says, voice trembling, I'm so sorry. I didn't know who you were, and I was just trying to keep things under control. She's speaking faster than a speeding bullet, and her words are tumbling over each other. She's practically bowing at this point, trying to make up for that slap in front of the entire plane. But Michael? He's just sitting there, his arms casually folded, watching her scramble like it's the most entertaining thing he's seen all day. And then, just as Sally starts to overdo it, he leans back, takes a deep breath, and says, Relax, Sally. It's fine. Now, you'd think she'd be relieved, but no, relief isn't the first thing Sally feels. It's confusion. She blinks at him, her mind struggling to grasp why on earth this guy she slapped in front of everyone, is being so chill about the whole thing. She's expecting at least some kind of reprimand, but Michael's not giving her anything that would make her feel better. He just raises his eyebrows and says with a grin, Honestly, I've been slapped before. You wouldn't believe the kind of stuff I deal with. And boom, just like that, the tension in the air shifts. The entire cabin is now watching this interaction like it's a live comedy show. Passengers are giggling, some are trying not to laugh out loud, and a few are even nudging each other, whispering things like, This is gonna be one for the books. Sally's in full-blown panic mode, but Michael? He's turning the whole thing into a spectacle, as if it's just another Tuesday for him. He's completely calm, cracking jokes and making her squirm even more. Don't worry, Sally, he says with a wink. It takes more than a little slap to ruffle my feathers. I've been through worse. Trust me, it comes with the territory when you're as well known as I am. And Sally's standing there, unable to do anything but nod along like she's been taken over by some invisible force. Every word out of his mouth makes her feel smaller, but it's also kind of hilarious. The more she tries to apologize, the more she realizes that this is exactly how Michael handles these kinds of situations. Calm, collected, and with a side of humor. And Sally? Well, she's just scrambling to keep her cool, but it's clear she's not winning this one. The passengers, meanwhile, are all leaning forward, watching the drama unfold like they're front row at a comedy show. Some are even pulling out their phones to record the interaction, because why not? This moment is golden. But just when Sally thinks she can't get any more embarrassed, Michael throws her one last curveball. Hey, Sally, he says, giving her a friendly pat on the shoulder. You've got spirit. I like that. Just next time, maybe, don't slap the owner of the plane, okay? And with that, the tension cracks wide open. Sally's face turns a few shades darker, but she can't help but laugh, too. What else can she do at this point? She's not winning the battle for dignity, but Michael's just so chill about it, she starts to relax, too. The passengers? They're all laughing now, and the entire cabin feels like a weight's been lifted. Sally's standing there, humbled but somehow relieved. Michael Jackson, despite everything, turned the whole situation into something far less terrifying than she expected. He didn't blow it out of proportion. Instead, he gave her a bit of grace, mixed with humor. And maybe, just maybe, she learned a thing or two about not judging people too quickly, and definitely about not slapping the wrong person. And as the laughter dies down and Sally heads back to the front of the plane, she can't help but smile, shaking her head. What a day, right? The flight is almost over, but the lesson, well, that's going to stick with her long after the seatbelt sign goes off. All right, folks, the journey's nearing its end, but the real story, well, that's just getting started. After everything, the slap, the awkwardness, the laughs, Sally's had her fair share of lessons today. As the plane starts its descent, she's standing by the galley, looking out the window, reflecting on everything that just went down. You can see it in her eyes. There's a shift happening. A change. Sally's always prided herself on being in control, the one who knows how to handle a rowdy passenger or a tricky situation. But today, she learned the hard way that it's not always about being the toughest or the most authoritative. Sometimes, it's about humility, about taking a step back and realizing that appearances can be deceiving. Michael Jackson, the guy she'd pegged as just another eccentric passenger, turned out to be so much more. He wasn't some diva. He wasn't some entitled jerk. He was human, and he knew how to roll with the punches, literally. As the plane nears its final approach, Sally takes a deep breath, and without missing a beat, she walks over to Michael. She's still a bit nervous, but this time, she's different. She's learned. Standing before him, she gives a genuine smile and says, "Look, Mr. Jackson, I owe you a real apology. I misjudged you. I let my assumptions get the best of me, and I'm sorry for slapping you like that." And Michael? He just looks up at her, flashes that familiar smile, and gives her a reassuring wink. "Sally, don't sweat it. You're not the first, and you won't be the last. Life's too short to hold grudges. Besides, I've got plenty of people slapping me every day, mostly in the form of bad reviews on the in-flight food. But you've got spirit. That's what counts." Her jaw drops slightly. That was his wisdom for the day? But then again, he's not wrong. Maybe it was his way of reminding her that life's too short to carry unnecessary baggage. Sally laughs, a real laugh this time, like the weight of the world's been lifted off her shoulders. As she heads back to her duties, the cabin crew exchanges glances. They all witnessed the drama earlier, and now they can't help but feel proud of her. Sure, she had a rough start, but there's something about a person who can own their mistakes, learn, and still keep going. As the plane touches down, Sally's still reflecting on everything. She's learned so much today, not just about Michael Jackson, but about herself. She's no longer that strict, rule-abiding flight attendant who judges a book by its cover. She's open. She's humble. And maybe, just maybe, she's a little more patient. And as the plane taxis to a stop, she pauses, looking back at Michael one last time. He catches her eye, and with a playful grin, he raises his hand in a wave. It's not the grand gesture of forgiveness she thought she'd need. It's just a wave. But in that simple, silent exchange, something clicks. She finally gets it. Sally offers one final apology, and as she walks off the plane, the crew cheers her on. Maybe they're applauding her for turning the situation around. Or maybe they're just glad it's over. Either way, Sally knows she's earned their respect. Not because she slapped Michael Jackson, but because she learned from it. As the doors close and the last of the passengers disembark, Sally takes a deep breath and smiles. It's been one crazy flight. But hey, tomorrow's a new day. And who knows? Maybe she'll be ready for the next surprise that life throws her way. No more assumptions, just a lot more humility. And as for Michael, well, he's already probably off to his next adventure, still laughing about this whole thing, maybe even planning his next surprise for a poor, unsuspecting flight crew. Because, in the end, life's just one big, crazy flight, and sometimes you've got to enjoy the ride.